Pinag-uusapan ngayon sa social media na di umano'y naiuwi na ng Pilipinas ang katawan ng magnanakaw na si Zoldico. Ayon sa kaanak ng magnanakaw, pumanaw umano ito matapos na lumala ang komplikasyon sa puso at minarapat daw ng pamilya nito na iuwi ang katawan nito sa Pinas nang sa gayon daw ay matigil na ang isyu patungkol sa mga ninakaw nito sa kaban ng bayan. Narito panoorin ang video kung ano ang ginawa ni Zoldico sa ilang mag-aaral kung saan ninakawan nito ng karapatan na magkaroon ng magandang classroom.
Good morning, Senator Bam. Good morning, Senators. I'm Angel Antonio, and I'm Director for Partnership for Hope. I'll be giving you a presentation, and it's going to be very hopeful, pun intended, right? So, just to give you a bit of background on who Hope is. If you're familiar with Hope in a Bottle, Hope in a Box, yung tubig po na nabibili natin sa mga hotels, cafes, restaurants, that is our company. Can we move to the next slide, please? Okay. Now, the profit from Hope in a Bottle, 100% of that goes into building of classrooms, right? Now, we have been doing this since 2014. And to date, konti pa lang naman po, we have built 144 classrooms. And these classrooms are spread all over the Philippines. The farthest we have in the north is in Zambales. And the farthest we have in the south are a lot of public schools in Sarangani. Okay. We oversee every stage of construction, from planning to turnover through an open bidding process, and regular audits are done to ensure transparency, use of funds, and quality assurance. Next page, please. Okay, these are very simple pictures, no? So you get an idea of how does a Hope classroom look like. So that's how an outside, the exterior of a Hope classroom is. By the way, we build just around 1 to 2 classrooms for every project, Senator. And then interior-wise, we cover within the cost of the chalkboard and the cost of the teacher's desk. Not part of the cost are the student desks or the tables and chairs, right? And you'll be glad to know, sayang po wala si Senator Raffy, that every classroom we build goes with a toilet. Yeah? So 1:1, right? Next slide, please. Okay, so we follow the standard DepEd size of 7 by 9 meters, right? And for ventilation, that standard design, as far as I know, asks for 4 windows. You know? So there will be 4 windows per classroom. And we also provide 2 electric fans for ventilation. Electricals are also part of the cost. We'll go into the details of the cost later. Plumbing and tiling, actually, because of the toilet, right? And then, as mentioned, no, chalkboard and teacher's desk. Right? The next slide will be very interesting. Okay. So here, Senator Bam, you'll see that overall we have, and this is, by the way, the general cost of 1 classroom for 2025. Now, I think it's best that we show you costs at this point, right? So if you look here, 18% of costs go into masonry works. Okay. Next big chunk would be the contractor fee, which is around 12%. But then within that bulk, kasi we already put in the costs for the chalkboard, the teacher's desk, and because the funds we use are for donors, Hope classrooms come with a very nice donor wall that acknowledges who the donor of the classroom is. Next, 14% will go into carpentry and painting. 13% would go into roofing. and then around 6% would go into plumbing and tile works. You'll be very interested to know. I look at the details. The cost of a toilet is 67,000. Okay. And yan po ang breakdown. There is actually, this is just my presentation, but we actually have a bid spec sheet. No, it's not part here. Senator will just submit it to you, but it really itemized all materials line per line. Right. Next slide, please. And for this one, let me just highlight the timeline. Right. For a classroom project, again, I'd love to remind you that we have only done projects of 1 classroom or 2 classrooms, right? It would just take us around 4 to 6 months. 1 month being deciding on where the site would be, and then to build a classroom anywhere within 3 to 6 months. Very recently, we were able to build 2 classrooms for 2 months kasi hinabol po namin yung recent school year. Yeah. That's it. And I'd just like to say, with a very energetic concept of hope in a bottle, it's really just making use of insights and also making it inclusive. What we have done is actually democratize nation building by involving customers, consumers, to do their part, so that these funds can be put together to build classrooms. Very innovative and very creative way of making things happen.
Thank
That's
you,
it, Senator.
Thank you, Ms. Antonio. We'll tackle the NGOs as a group. So I ask my fellow senators to hold off their questions. Angat Buhay, Rafi, go ahead, please.
Magandang umaga po, Senator Bam. I am Rafi. I'm the Executive Director of Angat Pinas Incorporated, more widely known as Angat Buhay Foundation, founded by former Vice President Leni Robredo. Slide 4 na po, please. Since 2016, Angat Buhay has been dedicated to building classrooms nationwide. We have completed 95 classrooms to date, 63 during our time under the Office of the Vice President, and 32 since becoming a non-profit organization. This month, we will break ground on 4 new classrooms in Quezon and Naga. These achievements were made possible through strategic partnerships with fellow NGOs and private sector partners. Yung iba po kasama po natin dito sa Senado. These slides feature short videos of Angat Buhay's classroom designs developed in partnership of Agap Foundation Incorporated. The first video presents our standard classroom design for early grade learners from kindergarten to grade 3, and the second showcases our specialized design for SPED classroom. Pinaprioritize po ng Angat Buhay ang grades kinder to grades 3 para po maiwasan ang shifting sa mga antas na ito. Our standard classroom design is a single-story, 2-classroom building. This structure encompasses a total area of 104.20 square meters. Each classroom features a spacious 48 square meter layout, precisely measuring 6 meters in width and 8 meters in length. This design allows for the comfortable accommodation of 70 to 80 learners in total, with approximately 35 to 40 students per classrooms. It was developed specifically for early grade classes with high classroom backlogs. Each building includes a toilet facility, hand wash facility, chairs, tables, and chalkboard, shelves, built-in cabinets and storage units, light fixtures, electric fans, and electrical outlets, and a mini library with storybooks and teaching supplies. SPED classrooms are built with accessibility in mind, including ramps and handrails. The total project cost for a fully equipped and furnished single-story 2-classroom building when we were still at the Office of the Vice President is 2.2 million. That's around 1.1 million per classroom. Just because po marami kaming pinatayo sa Visayas at Mindanao. Our baseline construction cost now as a non-profit organization, again, for our single-story 2-classroom building is 1.7 million pesos. So that's roughly around 862,500 per classroom. This figure can fluctuate depending on the school's location, particularly in remote areas. For instance, costs have increased for our project in Basilan, but have been carefully managed to remain below the 2 million peso mark. You can review po a complete breakdown of these costs on slides 8 and 9. Slide 11, please. We ensure that every classroom delivered to our partner schools is fully equipped and fully furnished. This includes all basic furniture and fixtures. We also supply each classroom with reading materials and a variety of teaching supplies. The total cost of this is about 100,000 pesos only. Slide 12, please. This slide outlines our classroom construction process, which typically takes about 3 to 4 months to complete. We ensure a comprehensive post-construction process. This includes regular monitoring of our classroom's performance, addressing any defects within the 1-year warranty period, and a formal evaluation of our project's long-term impact and sustainability. The development of robust educational infrastructure is crucial for national progress, yet our efforts in classroom construction face persistent and significant hurdles. These challenges, often systemic in nature, directly impede our ability to provide every Filipino student with a conducive learning environment. We will delve into 4 critical issues, Mr. Senator. 1, a pervasive issue hindering school infrastructure development is the frequent absence of clear and definitive land titles for many public school sites. This often involves government-owned land that has not been formally transferred or properly documented to the Department of Education, or instances of overlapping land claims. For instance po in Quezon, matagal na po kaming may pondo para magpatayo ng classroom, pero 8 months na po siyang delay dahil hindi po kami nakakakuha ng titulo ng paaralan na yun, at hindi po kami makapagpatayo kung wala po yun, dahil baka ipag-iba po sa amin yung classroom na ipapatayo po namin. In densely populated areas or established school campuses, there might be insufficient or otherwise unviable for standard construction. Number 3, a considerable number of public school sites are situated in low-lying areas near major waterways or in coastal regions, rendering them highly susceptible to chronic or severe flooding events, particularly during monsoon seasons and natural calamities. May isa po kaming paaralan na almost 30 classrooms na po ang hindi na dapat ginagamit dahil kapag po may ulan, binabaha po agad yung eskwelahan. While Angat Buhay actively supports classroom repairs through various initiatives, we recognize the pressing need for more sustainable mechanisms to ensure the long-term integrity of our school infrastructure. Many public schools, especially those in remote or geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas, operate with severely constrained MOOE budgets. This funding is frequently inadequate to cover essential routine maintenance, minor repair, or necessary significant renovations. This creates a cycle of deterioration that hinders effective learning environments. Addressing the systemic challenges in classroom construction requires a multifaceted and strategic approach. The following recommendations offer crucial pathways to overcome these obstacles. Number 1, explore contracting classroom projects to private partners or nonprofit organizations following due diligence. While government-led initiatives are vital, leveraging the expertise, efficiency, and potentially diverse funding sources of the private sector and the NGOs can accelerate classroom construction. Number 2, enact legislation addressing the pervasive land titling issues faced by DepEd schools. This recommendation calls for specific legislative action to streamline the process of transferring land ownership to the Department of Education, resolve long-standing land disputes, and expedite the issuance of official titles. This could involve designating certain government lands for automatic transfer to DepEd upon school establishment, or creating a specialized legal task force dedicated to resolving these titling issues. Number 3, mandate the use of a standardized national data collection framework for all educational facilities, disaggregated to the barangay or district level. Currently, data on educational facilities, including classroom conditions, availability of buildable space, and vulnerability to hazards, may be fragmented or inconsistently collected across different administrative levels. A standardized national framework could ensure uniform data collection methodologies, enabling a comprehensive and accurate understanding of infrastructure needs. Disaggregating this data to the barangay and district levels provide granular insights, allowing for targeted interventions. Marami po sa amin sa mga NGOs ang kailangan pang mag-triple check ng datos na ibinibigay sa amin para makita namin yung tunay na kalagayan ng mga classrooms sa mga DepEd schools. Construct classrooms that are climate resilient and adaptable to new technologies and emerging pedagogies. Given the Philippines' vulnerability to climate change, new classroom construction must integrate climate resilient design and materials, including po yung elevated structures in flood-prone areas, typhoon-resistant components, natural ventilation. Beyond resilience, classrooms should be designed with adaptability in mind, allowing for easy integration of new educational technologies and flexible layouts that support evolving teaching methodologies. Our classroom po, as a nonprofit, may have slight differences from that of the Department of Education, implemented by the Department of DPWH. But it is equally conducive to learning, fully functional, and costs far less than prevailing market prices. The classrooms we build at Angat Buhay are of higher quality and usability than many currently found in our public schools. The cost gap is indefensible and demands accountability. Every classroom left unbuilt denies a child the right to learn, deprives a teacher of the means to teach, and holds back an entire community from progress. This goes beyond budget concerns and call for stronger collaboration in solving the crisis. Civil society has already proven that we can build quality classrooms faster and at a lower costs. It is time to open the door for us to do more and to amplify our role in closing the classroom backlog that has long held our children back. The longer we delay, the more we condemn the next generation to a broken system. Each peso wasted and each day lost reflect neglect. And when that neglect robs children of their future, it becomes a failure of our nation cannot and must not accept. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you. Let's ask the Federation. Is it Sir Jeffrey to
Yes.
present? Go ahead.
I'm Jeffrey Nang, Executive Vice President of the Federation of Filipino Chinese Chamber of Commerce Industry. And the Barrio School program is our flagship project, aside from the volunteer fire brigade support, medical dental missions, and disaster relief mobilization. We build around 152 classroom schoolhouses every year, each at a cost of around 800,000 to 1 million pesos. So our classrooms are 7 by 7 square meters, that's 49 square meters, so around 98 square meters for one schoolhouse. Our cost is 800,000 to 1 million, so that's 8,000 to 10,000 pesos per square meter. Usually we build it at remote areas all over the country. Okay. So we have.
Sorry, Jeffrey, could you repeat that? That's 10,000 per square meter.
Yeah, 8 to 10,000 pesos per square meter.
It's slightly smaller, right? No,
It's,
slightly smaller than the debt.
Smaller, yes. It's a 7 by 7.
Is it ano ba to? Hollow block ba to? Or
Hollow block. We have pictures of it. Can you forward here? No, it's a concrete hollow block with 2 toilets at the back. No, one for each classroom.
How are you? Sorry, I have to jump in because
Yeah,
the price is really way lower than even the NGOs and the LGUs. How are you able to bring that price to that level?
Yeah.
Baka naman hindi yan total. Is that the total cost, or there are things that you're not charging anymore?
Yeah. We don't charge overhead. No, we don't. Certainly, there's no profit. And in some areas of the country where it's rather remote or prices are more expensive, it's usually shouldered already by the local chamber.
Okay.
They get donors from the local community, or sometimes they can ask for gravel and sand from the LGU.
So there's a local counterpart, no?
Minimal, yes.
Minimal.
Yes.
You mentioned that these are barrio schools. Usually, those are the most expensive schools to build.
Right.
But in your case, it's
the cheapest.
lower.
Yeah, because we've been doing this since 1961, and we have built 6,500 of these classrooms. So that's equivalent to 13,000 classrooms already.
Mr. Chair, I recall since 1998, we would have the same conversation with the federation. They would always have the lowest priced, good quality classrooms, although sometimes it's a bit smaller. But really, we should look at our model, and in a technical working group that you mentioned, we will compare the LGU-driven, the Federation Chinese Chamber of Commerce, and even the other NGOs with the DPWH contractors. Perhaps, if I may suggest, we include the favorite contractors of DPWH who price it at 36,000 per square meter, and perhaps the engineer of the Federation who has it at 8,000 per square meter, so that we can compare apples and apples. Thank you. But I recall, palaging pinakamura ang Federation, at nung first term ko, nakahingi ako para sa ibang LGUs. Magaling talaga sila. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Please go ahead, Sir Jeffrey.
Yeah. Well, most of the donations come from Metro Manila-based businesses, Chinoy companies, and we distribute these classrooms all over the country, outside Metro Manila mainly, at the request of local chambers, LGUs, principals all over the country, especially in the remote areas. We have worked with Angat Buhay, of former VP Lenny Robredo, and other NGOs also who request for these free schoolhouses. Well, a policy recommendation is, of course, perhaps the government can give FFCCI 150% income tax eligibility, similar to what is being done in UP, to enable us to maybe double or triple our funds, to have more donations, that we can in turn triple our construction, or maybe the government can match our donations every year, which is around 150 million, and the government can match it, let's say 1:1. We can now build 300 schoolrooms instead of the mere 150. So these are our recommendations.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Let's move to Yellow Boat.
All right. Okay, so ako po good morning everyone. I'm Patty from the Yellow Boat of Hope Foundation, and today I'll share how our Yellow School of Hope Starter Classroom program gives last mile schools a fast, dignified, and sustainable solution to the classroom shortage. So, mga last mile schools po talaga yung priority namin. They are the small, remote, disadvantaged schools that are often forgotten, and many children here study in makeshift huts or under trees that are exposed to the elements, and it's not very ideal for learning. And yung DepEd reports a shortage of over 165,000 classrooms, and small remote schools naturally are the last to be prioritized in classroom provision. So yung mga starter classrooms po namin, they are safe, dignified, and they're more typhoon resistant than the usual makeshift classroom. They can last around 5 to 10 years because the bottom half is made of cement, it's fully cement, and the top half naman is made of local materials, so it's easier to procure them. Because of that, one classroom can be completed in just 4 to 6 weeks. And this means we can respond quickly to urgent needs. And alam naman natin kung gaano ka-urgent, especially sa mga last mile schools. And it's called starter classroom, particularly because it's a start, it's the first step. It's the bridge while waiting for the permanent classrooms from DepEd to be built. Next naman po, these classrooms are designed particularly for small, geographically isolated schools sa mga GIDA. And since 2023, we've built them in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao sa mga far-flung areas. And these schools, yung mga last-mile schools, they often have only around 20 to 30 learners per grade level, around 100 to 150 learners overall. But just because of their low population, that does not mean they can be left behind sa classroom provision. Next po. So, one Yellow School of Hope starter classroom costs around 250,000 pesos compared to our standard Yellow School of Hope that can range from 1 to 2 million pesos. All of our programs, including this classroom build, uses sweat equity. So yung mga parents and yung mga community members, they help build through bayanihan. We employ skilled labor, yes, but the simple labor is done by the parent volunteers. Kaya napapabilis din at nakaka-lower din yung cost ng labor. And additionally, it creates a sense of ownership, ensuring better care of the classrooms in the future. Next naman po, the starter classroom design uses a mix of cement and wood, both for strength and availability in remote areas. Strength and availability are two of the main considerations in building classrooms in these remote areas. But even with simple materials, these proper building techniques make the classroom withstand typhoons compared to makeshift huts. And these building techniques are shared by our volunteer architects, si Architect Peach Buencamino of CC Buencamino Architect. Next naman po yung program map namin. These are the provinces where we've built starter classrooms. This does not include the standard na Yellow School of Hope, no? So these projects are initiated, monitored on the ground, and documented by our volunteers, mga taga doon din sa areas na yon, whom we call Hope Paddlers. And these volunteers are also public school teachers. So they understood the urgency and the significance of this program in their communities. Next po. Our most expensive build is at 250,000 pesos. The materials are 180,000, labor 45,000. May contingency po na 10% because these are for particularly for the hard to reach areas. Sa logistics nila, these are for the schools na wala talagang mga roads papunta sa kanila. Yung mga parents ay they by foot nila dinideliver yung mga materials, yung mga sako, mga semento. Size is the DepEd standard size na 7 by 9 meters, half concrete, half wood, with a ceiling and double walling. This has no electrical as most of these communities are off-grid anyway, but we try to supplement with our solar panel program. Separate naman na po yun. And then for the last slide, I'd like to reiterate our advocacy, which is at the Yellow Boat of Hope, we believe every child, no matter where they live, kahit gaano sila kalayo, they deserve a safe and dignified place to learn. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Ms. Ayo. So I remember si Yellow Boat nagsimula yan when si Dr. Anton Lim, a good friend, saw that children were walking 5 hours to school and having to cross rivers. Kaya yung unan or swim to school, at yung una naging project was to give them boats, di ba? Para nakabangka na sila going to school, no? So you've branched into school building. We asked you to present the starter classroom. You also have regular school buildings at about 1 to 2 million, correct, di ba? But the starter classroom, this is a faster solution to the current huts, di ba? Kumbaga in about a month or a month and a half, kaya na itong matayo. Meron bang paraan to convert this into a regular classroom, or the understanding is pag may regular classroom na, this will be torn down?
Ang gusto po talaga namin ay ma-turn siya into a regular classroom eventually, and yun po yung dine-develop namin this year with our volunteer architect para yung design niya ay eventually magiging regular classroom siya.
Kumbaga parang halfway point, no? Meron nang magagamit na in the meantime, tapos pag may extra resources, konting dagdag siguro, pwede na siyang regular classroom.
Opo.
The biggest difference are the walls, right? Kasi the foundation is concrete, the roof is still GI sheet.
Opo.
It's the walls which is the big difference, no?
Opo.
Okay. Sige, let's go to Security Bank. Mr. Simpao, you have the floor, sir. I know Security Bank has also been building classrooms for years, no?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
you. Well, we were established as a corporate social responsibility arm of Security Bank Corporation in 1993, and we focused our advocacy on education, guided by our belief that education is the best equalizer in life. Because with a proper education, one should be able to succeed in life no matter what social or economic background they may have. At that time, we were concerned about the country's state of education, which is the overwhelming shortage and dilapidated classrooms, poor performance for students in international and even in local assessment. No? We ranked 78 out of 81 countries. And we have, I think, if I got the numbers right, we have about 11 million youth who are not schooling for lack of classrooms or lack of finances. No? Because of this, we therefore focus our educational advocacy in the following areas. No, we donate school buildings to public schools across the country to help address the classroom shortage. But we also, from the very beginning, recognize that infrastructure alone is not enough to improve the quality of education, because the quality of the education is dependent on the quality and leadership of the principals and the teachers. No? And therefore, the second leg of our advocacy is training principals and teachers. No? We also provide scholarship to underprivileged students to provide them access to better education. This is our scorecard. We started in 1911. We've donated 901 classrooms to 153 schools that is located in 92 cities and municipalities. And these classrooms presently benefit about 40,000 students per year. No? We have also repaired 571 previously donated classrooms. No? But there's a selfish reason for this, because the school buildings carry the name of Security Bank, and it reflects in our image if that building is dilapidated. So we've spent a lot on repairs and maintenance, particularly in areas which have suffered from natural calamities such as earthquakes and typhoons. No? We've also trained 177 school principals and 36,400 teachers, no, on the subjects of English, math, science, and social studies. And beginning last year or 2 years ago, we've changed our training program, to a 3-year training program. No? Because our end objective now is, we have about 20 million teachers, I think, if I'm not mistaken. What we want to do now is to produce not only learners, but mentors, no? So they can cascade their learnings. No? We have also provided we also provide about 300 scholarships, no? And we have also tied up with 8 major educational institutions, and we've given them scholarship programs. No? This is Ateneo, LaSalle, Chiang Kai-shek, FEU, Pamantasan Luzon ng Maynila, PUP, UP Diliman, and UST. So in terms of our costing, we've invested about 2.3 billion in our educational advocacy, 1.8 billion for school buildings, construction, and also repairs. We've spent 286 million for scholarship and 145 million for training teachers and school principals. No? We have 4 models. We have a 2-story, 4 classrooms that contains 5 toilets. One of the toilet is for PWD, and 3 storage rooms. No? We have a 2-story, 6 classrooms with 5 toilets. Again, one of those 5 toilets is for PWD. The 2-story, 8 classrooms with 6 toilets and 2 storage rooms. And then 2-story, 10 classrooms with 6 toilets and 2 storage rooms. Huh? Our classrooms are 7 by 9 meters, which is in compliance with the DepEd. And as I've said earlier, we have 1 toilet for PWD for the 4 and 6 classrooms, and 2 toilets for PWD for the 8 and 10 classrooms. No? We also provide a PWD ramp as required by DepEd. Our ground floor is normally elevated 1 meter, but for areas which are not have not experienced flooding, we've reduced this to half a meter. No, so there's an added cost. We also provide 4 ceiling fans per classroom. We also provide bidets in the toilets. We have a fire alarm system, extinguishers, etc. But most importantly, we use steel beams and steel doors and precast for our wallings. So, while these are more expensive, it allows us to save time in terms of our construction schedule.
Excuse me, can I interrupt, Mr. Chair? Mr. Simpao, I'm very impressed with these figures, and especially this one, which says 2-story, 4 classrooms with 5 toilets. How much is the construction cost?
I'll be getting to that in my next slide.
Okay.
If you don't mind, no.
And then adding added to that or adding to it, meron palang kailangan ng PWD ramp required sa lahat ng mga classrooms. Is the DPWH doing it now? Meron na rin?
Yes, sir. We're compliant with DP 344.
See, sorry for the interruption. Go ahead, Mr.
Go
Simpao.
ahead.
Sir.
Yeah. This is the typical floor plan, first ground floor and second floor. Our toilets are, of course, if you have a two-story, you need stairwells, which adds to the cost. No? And we have to put up two as required by DepEd. One is the regular stairwell, and the other one is for emergency use. But they're used by the students right now, no? And normally we construct the toilets behind this stairwell, and then underneath the stairwell, that's where we have the storage areas, no? Now, these are typical types of classrooms. We have the 4-story classrooms, 2-story, 2-story 6 classrooms, and the typical 2-story 8 classrooms, and typical 2-story 10 classrooms. No? Now, this is where I think you're interested. Our costs have been going up. Our current cost now for 2025, average cost is about 3.1 million per classrooms. But this is inclusive of all the costs for the common areas, such as the toilets, the stairwells, the elevated. And then in our experience, we have 6 to 7 months average actual construction period from notice to proceed. No? But before that, of course, there are a lot of legwork that have to be done. We have to coordinate with the DepEd, the LGU, which owns the land, and so forth and so forth. No? But our intention is to expedite the construction so that we can complete all of this within 1 year, inclusive of all the other legwork prior to construction, so that we can avail of the tax incentives offered by the Department of Education. No? Now, as I mentioned, this is now typical, these are now ongoing no? Construction. And you will see the beams are all...
Mr. Chair, excuse me, bago tayo magkalimutan. Address ko lang quickly, I'm sorry, Mr. Simpao, for the interruption sa DPWH. Yung pinaka-current ngayon sa Security Bank is 3.1 million pesos per classroom and nagagawin in 1 year. Sa DPWH, I believe it's 3 million per classroom at 3 years.
Sir, per classroom, mga around 3.5, sir.
3.5.
Average, sir.
Average. Bakit sa kanila 3.1? Mahal na ngayon sa kanila. Sabi nila, medyo kamahala na. Sa inyo, 3.5. Sa kanila, 3.1. At sa kanila, dami pang mga amenities. Meron pang mga stairway, may ramp, para sa PWD. Tapos napakaraming toilet.
Yes, sir. Meron din namang mga ganun, sir, sa PWD.
Pero bakit mas mahal sa inyo?
Sir,
kumpara di sa kanila? Sa kanila, mahal na nga yung 3.1.
Sir, maraming factors kasi dahil yung minsan yung sa foundation yung binanggit ni Senator Gatchalian kanina. Pag malambot yung foundation, saka sir, meron tayong indirect cost na yung mga overhead, which is talagang kasama naman sa program.
But Yusek,
overhead. Sorry.
If I may,
indirect cost, sir, yun.
But Yusek, di ba yung 3.4 ninyo, yun yung base cost, di ba? Meaning kung may kailangan na soil testing, foundation, tataas pa yon, right? No?
Yeah, hiwalay pa sir yun, hiwalay.
Sa amin, kasama po yung soil testing.
Sa kanila, sa inyo, hiwalay. Sa kanila, kasama na yung soil testing.
But if I may just make a comment, no? I think building classrooms is similar to building houses, no? Your cost per square meter is going to vary depending on your style, depending on the materials that you will use, no? Kung ang flooring nyo is wood or vinyl tile or ceramic or marble, iba-iba po ang costing niya, no? So, if I may just be bold enough to make a comment, no? I think you have, I believe President Marcos announced that he wanted 40,000 classrooms finished before his term ends. That translates to 135,000 classrooms per year. No? And if you're building 10 classroom, 2-story building, that translates to 1,300 school buildings, no? And then you have the problem of choosing the schools to give it to, no? So I believe that while it's interesting for you to compare costings, I think if you want to expedite matters, what is needed now is for you to have the design of the building and the materials that you'd like to use, no? Kung precast, steel beams, etc. You want to use brand doorknobs, reuse sludge, for example, etc. Then you po makikita yung costing, and you can compare that to if you do the shopping. Kasi kung i-compare nyo po yung lahat ng aming costing, iba-iba po yung...
Yes, Mr. Simpao, costing pa rin to. I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, sa DPWH. So magkano yung soil testing ninyo para sa pag-construct ng mga classrooms?
Roughly, sir, siguro sa isang location, mga 150,000 to 200,000.
Okay. Samantalang dito sa Security Bank, naka-factor in na yung soil testing doon sa
Yeah,
3.1 million.
we spend 250,000 for soil testing.
Okay. So mahal na ngayon sa kanila. Pero still, mura pa rin yung ang sumatotal ng pag-construct nila ng classroom versus sa inyo, napakamahal at napakatagal. Yun lang yung problema dito ngayon, Yusek. Ano po? Anong pangalan niyo po, sir?
Eric, sir, Eric.
Yusek Eric.
Opo.
Siguro kailan mag-seminar kayo sa kanila. Baka meron kayo matutunan.
Sir, kagaya po nung
Sa
binanggit
LGU
naman,
rin at saka sa private sectors.
if I may, sir, kagaya sir naman ng binanggit ni sir na yung design parameters naman magkaiba talaga sa amin at saka yung sa kanila.
Yes, Yusek. So ang gagawin ho natin is in the TWG, we will try to compare as Senator Lawrence says, apples to apples, di ba? Materyales sa materyales, kung kahoy ba to, o cement block ba to, o bakal ba ito, and really try to have a good comparison with the end in mind to come up, and maybe DepEd, of course, will be the final arbiter here, on ano ba yung design na hinahanap natin at ano yung presyo, no? Kasi that's very important for this bill, because when we put together the fund, ang na-imagine natin, there will be a council headed by DepEd that will award basically, no, the price and the specs to LGUs and NGOs that want to participate in school building. Dapat standardized siya, no? May standard price, may mga additional, kunyari dun sa foundation o dun sa layo ng lugar, although si Chinese Chamber said kahit sila yung pinakamalalayong lugar at pati si Yellow Boat pinakamalalayong lugar, pero hindi naman ganun kalaki yung difference ng presyo nila. Parang it's just about 10 to 20%. No, it's not double, di ba? So we will do our best to do that TWG, makompare talaga natin yan, and we look for the best specs that we can provide, no? That can be one of the output of this of the hearings. Para in the end we can say kaya to ng 1.5 million, kaya to ng 2 million. Of course, if Security Bank wants to build a 3 million peso classroom na branded yung mga gamit, that's up to them, di ba? I mean, that's their own money. But pagdating sa gobyerno, we have to look for the right price, right? Sige po, Mr. Simpao, maybe you can finish your presentation.
Yeah, I just have one more. But before that, we're not spending this amount of money because we want to be magarbo or anything, no. But we've designed our school buildings to last for at least 25 years, no. And that's the reason why we also have a budget for maintenance.
That's a good point. Thank you, Mr. Simpao.
Now, what challenges? Next slide, please. What challenges have we faced? Well, of course, we're dependent on donation from the bank, and our funding allocation for major repairs that were of previously donated classrooms has been growing because, they over time, they will age, and then over time, the number of schools that we have to maintain also increases, no? We also have problems with the local public schools, no, because they normally lack funding for or budgets for building maintenance or pre-construction requirements such as demolition of the dilapidated classroom, tree cutting, site clearings, etc. And then one of the other problems that we've encountered is vandalism, no? 2 months after we've turned over classrooms in Tacloban, after the, what was that? Yolanda, no? Our toilets were already vandalized. No? So we're calling on the teachers the principals and the students to watch over this, no? But most importantly, the choice of contractor is one of the most critical element for us, no? Because we're building school buildings all over the country. And normally it will be cheaper if you get the local contractor. But if you use local contractor, you're treated as a one-off project. And normally, based on our experience, their workmanship is substandard. So what we've decided is we will develop several contractors and make it a win-win situation. They can look forward to continuing awards of classrooms as we build more classrooms throughout the country. And then the thing that they will assure us is the quality. And I personally inspect all of these classrooms. No? Pati yung wall, pintura, lahat. No? I even bang the doors. No? And as I've said, we're now using steel doors. No? Because we've had problems with termites. We've had problems. So pinaka-importante po yung choice of contractor. I don't know if it will be limited to
DPWH.
DPWH. So. And then, of course, we have a lot of areas that are at risk to natural calamities. No? Now, our finding also is that in a lot of areas where the need for classrooms is very pronounced are the par-plan areas, no? Where the number of students are also limited. Mga kasuluk-sulukan na yan, contest. So you really have to find a contractor that will be willing to do that, and it's a smaller project. No? So, and the cost is going to be the same, and the overhead is going to be the same, no? But the amount that will the number of students that will benefit is of course limited, no? And again, I'm sorry, Senator, if I may be so bold to suggest, I think, in my personal opinion, comparing all the costings of everybody is going to take you a lot of time, and it's going to be a waste, no? Because iba-iba ho yung ating design, iba-iba ho yung materials natin eh. And if you want to expedite this project, I sincerely recommend that you choose the design already, agree on the materials that you will use, and then do the costing. And then that's where you can check the costing if you survey the supply.
We actually have that already, Mr. Simpao, because DepEd has a design. It has prescribed materials.
Oh, yun pala eh.
Meron eh. So may basis po tayo, but that's why we want to compare in the TWG sa nagkakaiba. No?
Ang sinasabi ko po, yung design nyo, tsaka yung bill of materials, no, yan po ang testing nyo if that's if the prices that were indicated is higher than what you can get it from
Exactly.
the market, no?
Exactly.
And that's one of our provisions in our contract. We always have the owner's right to substitute materials. No? So kung mahal yung material nila, but of course we protect the attendance fee, no?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Simpao. So we'd like to thank our NGOs for presenting their work, no? Yung total po dito, I think aabot na tayo dito ng 15 to 20,000 classrooms made, no, just by the groups that are currently here, no. So we'd like to thank them for their work in nation building, no. I think DepEd naman fully appreciates the support from the private sector. Ang susunod ho nating nais gawin ay sa TWG ay mag-compare tayo ng mga presyo, no. The specs are already there. DepEd has those specs already, no, whether 2-story, 3-story, 4-story, standalone, 2 classroom, 1 classroom, meron pang with toilet, without toilet, although baka magalit ulit si Senator Tulfo sa without toilet, no, but with toilet dapat yan. Meron namang specs, meron ding recommended because alam natin na kailangan typhoon resilient, earthquake resilient. So there are specs already, there are prices already. What we need to do is just compare and try to find out ano ba yung reason for the differences. Baka naman it can be explained, but we will invite all the groups here, maybe some professional groups also, mga architects and si Contractors Association, mapag-usapan natin, have a third party look at all of this also. And in the next hearing, ipapresent po natin yan, no, yung mga differences. But so far, ang narinig ko, everyone seems to be supportive of this bill. Of course, we will get your inputs in the TWG as well, kung may mga gusto kayong idagdag. And we have to find a way to really work together and solve this problem. I'm hoping that by the time we have the bill on the floor, meron ng clear targets, no, in coordination with Senator Gatchalian and the Committee on Finance, and even DBM. No, we'll ask DBM to present in the next hearing kasi yung budget ho ninyo nais nating dagdagan, no? Maybe it can be the seed fund for this program, which we can open up to LGUs and to other private organizations, no? So, but before we finish, let me ask Senator Loren and Senator Tulfo if they have some final questions. I know Senator Tulfo has some questions about the security issues lately ng mga estudyante natin in Nueva Ecija and Lanao, no? But we'll allow Senator Loren to take the first crack.
It's not a question, it's a manifestation. Just like what we did with the Tertiary Education Act, even if we're not able to pass this by December 2025, Mr. Chair, may I suggest that the key provisions of our measure may already be special provisions under the DepEd budget or even general provisions with the concurrence of the chair of the Finance Committee and whoever will be the vice chair for the Finance Committee, just like what we did, and you can actually do the actual funding. Second, my recommendation during our TWG is for DPWH to include a 36,000 per square meter contractor who's actually done it, and to bring the bill of materials and the actual costing, maybe actual photos and video of a 9 by 7 meters and a 2.5 meter corridor, and a Chinese chamber 8,000 per square meter contractor, and let's see apples and apples. And maybe the photos, how it looks, pa makita natin. Kasi baka plywood, hardy flex, o baka naman kung ano lang, to be fair to everybody. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's been a very enlightening first hearing of your committee.
Yes.
Thank you.
Senator Loren, in fact, I would even suggest that we take the committee outside of the halls of the Senate. We go to an area, maybe a friendly city, that can bring us to a Chinese chamber school, a DPWH school, a DepEd school, and then we have the hearing in the public school, no? Because doon natin talaga makikita yung sitwasyon ng ating mga kabataan at mga guro, no? If you commit to join me, Senator Loren.
I commit to join you because I want to see what a 36,000 per square meter classroom looks like, yung 9 by 7. And I also want to see 8,000 per square meter, regardless if the total is different. Kasi iba 4 by 8, iba 6 by 9, iba. Pero per square meter cost ito, yung finishing. Tapos ko-compute, kasama yung mga contractor nun, para mapaliwanag natin.
Yes.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you, Senator Loren.
Senator, pa kami ni Senator Tulfo.
Yes, Senator Tulfo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In the past 3 hours, I've noticed that we have answered so many questions pertaining to shortages for classrooms, and I really appreciate that. And equally important that I would like to tackle today is the issue on security. Kasi recently, as we all know, dalawa ng shooting incident ang naganap sa Lanao, last week, Lanao and Nueva Ecija, where a teacher and a student became victim dun sa shooting. Anong measures ginagawa ngayon ng DepEd para ma-ensure na yung seguridad ng mga estudyante at guro at hindi na maulit itong nangyari doon sa dalawang lugar na aking nabanggit? Na nakakalusot yung mga baril, na ipasok yung baril at namaril na lang ng estudyante at ng guro.
Good afternoon ho, Mr. Senator. Yung Department of Education ho, meron pong Child Protection Policy, 2012 pa ho yun. Pero after po ng incident ng ginawa po ng departamento, ay nag-issue po ng reiteration para ho dun sa polisiya na yon at hinaitin po yung mga security measures.
And what are those security measures?
Yung pagpasok pa lang ho ng mga bata ay check ko na ho yung mga bag. Pinagbabawal po yung pagdadala ng mga deadly weapons.
So meron na pala yan?
Meron na po.
So bakit hindi in-implement?
Na-implement naman po, kaya lang ho, alam nyo po
kung na-implement, sana hindi nangyari itong dalawang insidente na banggit ko.
Nakalusot to siguro, nakalusot to.
So meron dito dapat managot na principal man o superintendent kasi bakit not properly implemented? A policy that's been there for many years ago na pala.
Tama po yun.
Bakit naipasok yung baril? Di ba dapat may security guard dyan? Not tanod, but security guard trained na para magkapkap o magtingin ng mga bag na dala-dala ng mga estudyante. Am I right?
Tama po yun, Mr.
But why it's
Senator.
not being done?
Ito pong sitwasyon ho na nangyari recently, 3 beses so na pigilan pumasok yung assailant. Ang ginawa po ng assailant ay sumabay dun sa dagsa ng mga tao, kaya po siguro nakalusot. Pero iniimbestigahan na po ng departamento po, Mr. Senator, para wag na pong
So
mauwi.
meron ng ginagawang
Meron na po, agad-agad po, nagpunta po ang departamento doon.
No, not only doon sa mga nabanggit areas, kundi sa lahat ng public schools.
Yes, sir.
So, dapat hindi rin pwedeng dagsaan. You cannot use the word dagsaan kaya nakalusot.
Nga po.
Kung yan ang palaging gamitin ng mga authorities, mga different schools, pasensya na nakalusot yung gunman kasi sumabay sa dagsaan. No, that shouldn't be. Dapat isa-isa. Kung
Tama
kinakalang
po.
pumila, I remember when I was in high school, pasok din ako sa public school, pila-pila kami isa-isa tapos tinitingnan yung bag namin.
Kaya nga
Wala nang krimen.
Kaya po, Mr. Senator, kaya po yung ni-reiterate po yung policy ngayon, no, mas mahigpit na yung pagpasok sa eskwelahan. Dapat niya-check po yung mga bag.
Okay, second, sa kaso ng bullying, lumalala yung bullying. In fact, marami ng insidente ng suicide sa mga estudyante. It's either binubuli sila ng kanilang kapwa estudyante or binubuli sila ng kanilang mga guro na nakatanda sa kanila. At kanina nga sabi ko, coming here, na ko sa FY ko sa TikTok, nakita ko yung isang estudyante, kawawa, pinagtulungan, pinagbubugbog ng kapwa niya estudyante. So anong klaseng programa meron kayo na para ma-address tong lumalalang problema sa bullying sa elementary at sa senior high?
Simulan ko na rin po, Mr. Senator. Noong August 6 lang ho, nag-issue po ng bagong IRR tungkol sa anti-bullying policy po ng Department of Education. Pinagigting po yung efforts para po ma-prevent yung bullying incidents sa mga eskwelahan. Ngayon po meron ng Learners Permission Officer. Siya po yung nakatutok sa bawat eskwelahan para po mas mapabilis yung pag-akto sa mga reklamo o kaya kahit po indications lang na nagkakaroon ng bullying sa eskwelahan. Noon po kasi committee pa ho yan, kailangan pa mag-file ng complaint. Ngayon ho, may Learner Information Officer na para yan po yung trabaho niya, bantayan.
Can I suggest, total, meron naman sa curriculum ng GRMC, Good Manners and Right Conduct. So siguro, sa every subject, meron dapat pupunta doon na psychologist o pang Women's and Children's Desk para educate yung mga bata on a daily basis na hindi dapat kayo mambuli kasi ito mangyari. Pag nambuli kayo, ina-advisean sila. Doon pa lang sa classroom. Can we not do that?
Meron po, yes po. Yung curriculum po natin ay in-incorporate po yung...
Meron na.
Meron po.
And then nakalagay doon sa blackboard yung telephone number na pwede yung tawagan o i-text in case kung kayo nabubuli o meron kayong alam na nabubuli ng estudyante.
Wala pa po yan. No? Isa pong magandang suggestion, Mr. Senator. Opo.
Baka pwedeng isama yan. And then last na lamang, Mr. Chair. Now, let's go back to this walang kamatayan na PTA. Talagang gigim na ako nito. For the past 23 years, for 25 years in my public service, doing public service sa radio show ko, ang palaging nireklamo talaga yung contribution. I know meron ng in-issue si Senator Angara since umupo siya, Secretary Angara, umupo siya, na zero collection policy. The problem is, pag nagkaroon ng PTA meeting, palaging pinag-uusapan ay yung mga project. Toilet talaga number 1, top of the list. Paano tayo makapag-construct ng bagong toilet? Paano tayo makapag-construct ng bagong stage, project, etc.? Paano tayo magpatoga, yearbook, etc.? Hindi ba talaga kayang pigilan na to at pagsabihan ng DepEd ang mga teachers, parents at principal, oy, kapag nag-PTA meeting kayo, off, walang topic tungkol sa project na yan. Can you not do that? Wala ba kayong kapangyarihan to stop them?
Tama po kayo, Mr. Senator. No? Pag-upo po ni Secretary Sani Angara sa Department of Education, nilinaw po yung no collection policy ng departamento. You accurately stated a while ago, Mr. Senator, if you will read RA 5546, meron hong parang gray area doon. In RA 5546, expressly prohibited magkolekta mula sa mga school children, students, at saka mga teachers. Wala po kasing parents. Kaya po yung gray area na yun ay nagiging butas, so to speak, para po magkaroon ng mga collection drive. Siguro ho, no, and I would just like to surmise, baka ho iniwan yon para ho sa voluntary na pagbibigay ng mga parents kasi kailangan naman ho talaga ng tulong ng mga eskwelahan. Pero nililinaw po namin kung hindi ho voluntary kapag mandatory, tingin ko ho bawal po yun. Kasi kapag mandatory contribution from parents, parang indirectly napipilitan na rin po yung mga bata. Na
okay, we will amend that law. Okay. But for the meantime, baka naman pwede policy lamang mag-issue ng memo ang DepEd stating na yung mga parents ay hindi dapat kolektahan o hindi dapat molekta.
Yes po.
Pwede ba yun?
Pwede po, gagawin po namin, no? Meron po nakahandang draft in fact na kapag parents hindi pwedeng mandatory yung pagkakolekta from the parents.
That's all. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Tulfo. Hindi po ito nakakalimot. So in the next hearing, magka-follow up po si Senator Tulfo tungkol
Thank
po
you,
sa
sir.
issue na ito.
Thank you, Mr.
All
Chair.
right. With that, we'd like to thank our colleagues for attending this hearing. We'd also like to thank all of our resource persons for this opportunity to hear your positions. We'll be having a TWG. Everyone here is invited to join, and we'll also be including DILG as well as the League of Cities, Municipalities, and Provinces to talk about their position on the matter. We intend to have that comparison of costing. And the goal of the TWG is to do the comparison and eventually to come up, and hopefully DepEd can lead this, to come up with the prescribed specs and price for different modalities that the CAP law can use. Now, according to, as mentioned by Senator Loren, we will endeavor to include some provisions of this law already in the GAA. Even if we're not able to pass the law, uunahin na natin, no? So we're going to try to get support from our other colleagues. So you can expect this to happen in one form or the other, no? And we hope that by having that allocation, we can really invite more players, more groups, both LGUs and the private sector, to join us in this quest to build classrooms for our children. So we'd like to thank everyone, and we move to suspend the hearing. There being no objections, the hearing is thereby suspended. Maraming salamat po. Magandang hapon.